Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. I feel like my voice just went deeper. Bad news, I'm afraid. The Keanu portrait is actually on the wall and where it is in my living room, you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't be able to see it. So I'm kind of, I'm stuck deciding. Maybe they're fans of the Bigger Lazy Yeezy channel and they're annoyed that they can't see the Keanu portrait anymore. I might just get my John Wick poster and whack it up here, or I need to work out where I'm going to be filming. No one cares. Why do I'm always blathering away. Also, I know that I wrote on my community tab that I'm going to have a schedule. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, between 4 PM and 5 PM uploads or thereabouts. Whenever I say I'm going to have a schedule, I then never managed to keep to the schedule. I think I need to just keep up with the chaotic mess that is my channel. I didn't feel very well earlier this week. This is the part where I'm going to say, oh, none of you care. But some of you assured me that you do care about my physical and mental health, and thank you. That's genuinely appreciated. I didn't feel quite well earlier this week, physically. And then just mentally taking a little bit of a nosedive. This has nothing to do with today's video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Bill and Ted 3, Face the Music. That is the movie review, but yeah, so the uploads have been a bit shit this week because I've just not been all there. I'm never really all there mentally, but I'm a little bit worse than usual. Maybe I'll talk, if you guys want me to talk about mental health and stuff, then I can do and I will do. I don't want to be egocentric about it. Be like, oh, just gonna talk about me and my problems. But also I feel like when we all say we need to destigmatize talking about mental health, it would help to actually really candidly talk about it. Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, so today's video is indeed, I saw Bill and Ted 3 Face the Music last night, so I'm going to do a review of it. Hopefully I'm one of the first people to do a review of it. I bought Midnight Sun, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, who knows, Twilight book by Stephanie Meyer 2 weeks ago when it came out, reading it with the intention of being the first person to do a review about the book, been beaten to it by Strange Aeons. Sorry, it took me to brain fuzz. Strange Aeons, she just put up bloody video 3 days ago. Now it's going to look like I'm copying her if I do the same, but I fully had the intention of, I'm going to still do it, Anyway, so Keanu Reeves is my favourite person. My sole reason for, I'm joking, not my sole reason for living. Keanu Reeves is my favourite person. I grew up watching, Bill and Ted 1 and 2. Loving it so much. Constantly watching Bill and Ted as a kid. I think it's one of the first films I remember ever watching. Then I watched The Matrix around 6 or 7 years old, and I watched Constantine a few years later when that came out, because by that point I was a fan of, the big Keanu Reeves. But it took until me watching Constantine to realise the guy who played Ted in Bill and Ted was Keanu Reeves from The Matrix, one of my favourite films of all time. So it kind of felt like Keanu has always been there for me in my life. It's a vibe. So I was very excited to see Bill and Ted 3. I don't think I've done a proper movie review before, so here it goes. I enjoyed it. End of the video. Turn this off. Thanks. Subscribe and stuff. No, right. The first 20 minutes of it, I'll admit, it was a slow burner. It kind of felt a little bit strange to watch it because it's Bill and Ted, but it's 20 years later, and it almost felt like in the first 20 minutes, it felt like the film itself had to warm up a bit, and that Keanu and Alex Winter, who plays Bill, were almost trying to act too hard like Bill and Ted. That's how it felt. Me and I went with my sister. We both agreed on this after the film. It felt like that, but then actually when you think about it, they're kind of doing the difficult job of being these characters they were 20 years ago, but the characters are now 20 plus years older, with all the experience in life that would come with such an age difference. And they both have, there are going to be minor spoilers in this, they both have daughters. So then when you sit and think about it, it's like, oh no, this is exactly how Bill and Ted would act, plus 20 years into the future. It was a bit weird from that. I don't know if that made any sense at all, but it was a bit weird in the first 20 minutes. It just felt a bit strange, but then you warm up to it. and the whole film is just the right levels of ridiculous. So Bill and Ted have to write a song that is going to unite all of humanity throughout time, otherwise time and space will implode upon itself. So they have daughters, Billy and Thea, and I just thought the whole film was lovely, but I thought they were very well played. Thea, like, obviously quite beautiful as Bill's daughter Thea, but Ted's daughter, Billy, I'm getting mixed up in my head. Ted's daughter, Billy, looks exactly like a female version of Keanu Reeves as Ted 20 odd years ago. How long ago was the first Bill and Ted? It was like 30 years ago, wasn't it? Because it was an 80s. Fucking Jesus. That's a long... So we'll get into that in a minute. That's time. The passage of time. But yeah, Ted's daughter Billy looked exactly like a female Keanu Reeves from that... Which it was like fascinating to see, and there's nice little kind of cameo bits. I mean, Ted's father is in it. The actor who plays Ted's father is 79. So he was still a police officer. So surely you should be retired by now. You should have some retirement funds. So he must really love his job. George Carlin, the late comedian who passed away in, I believe, the early 2000s, one of my favourite comedians of all time, actually, obviously couldn't be in it, so they had his daughter called Kelly in the film, but George Carlin actually has a daughter called Kelly Carlin in real life, so I wonder if that was not a coincidence, more of a nod to that. So Kelly took over the role of Rufus. There was a little hologram of Rufus, that was quite nice. It's all a bit sad really, isn't it? The passage of time. I hate time, it is my enemy, my eternal enemy, but words are my eternal enemy, actually. So Bill and Ted are trying to come up with this perfect song, and they decide to steal it from themselves in the future, so they're off in the future, and meanwhile the daughters are like, oh, let's put together like the best band in history to help our fathers out. So they get Jimi Hendrix, and the guy who played Jimi Hendrix, the actor who played Jimi Hendrix, was brilliant. Really liked him. They grabbed Louis Armstrong. They then went back with Jimi Hendrix to Mozart's era, and Jimmy, played a little bit of Mozart, like that. Those bits where they were picking up the musicians from the previous time periods, and there was like some nice little musical bits. I really enjoyed those bits. It's kind of like, and I loved in the first one when Beethoven is at like that music shop and he starts playing, and then there was that song. What's it called? I don't think I'll be able to. I'm going to put up what it's called on the screen. You can go. It's like some 80s kind of. So they're putting together the greatest band in history. And then Kid Cudi is in it, and he makes me laugh as a person, as an idea, as a concept. I like the idea of Kid Cudi because he's someone that gets paid to say like 2 lines on other people's songs, namely Kanye West. You know, All of the Lights, he has 2 lines, and then what's that song from the Ye album that I really like? You wouldn't know that because I've not told you, but there's a song on Kanye and Kid Cudi. Is it Cudi or Cudi? I'm going with Cudi. Get it wrong, be strong. Kid Cudi, he has like 2 lines on that. Somehow he just manages to keep his career afloat just by like going onto random people's songs and saying 2 lines. And I love that. I like him as a person. So they had him as like, you know, the quantum physicist expert, the resident quantum physicist expert. They had a cameo from Dave Grohl. Love Dave Grohl. Apparently the nicest man in rock, you know. I just had like a whoa moment. Keanu Reeves and Dave Grohl in the same fucking film together. That's so cool. Because like Dave Grohl is just known as the nicest dude in rock, and Keanu Reeves is like the nicest dude ever. And I kind of think that like 10 years ago, you know, Keanu with a little beard and Dave Grohl, he's always got a beard. They kind of sort of look a little bit like each other too. I don't know why I had such a whoa moment about that. Like, cause like to you lot, it's so meaningless. Like, why is she like cool? They're in a film together. But for me, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh no, like I love those guys and they're together in a film. So they had a cameo from Dave Grohl. And by the way, like Dave Grohl just doesn't age. He looks the same as when he was in The Pick of Destiny. But Tenacious D, as in during that time frame, because obviously he played the devil in Tenacious D, so he didn't like look like that in this film. But he just hasn't aged for the past 10 years, so good going, Dave Grohl. Love that for you. They get William Shatner back to reprise his role as Death, the Grim Reaper. It's revealed that Bill and Ted had a lawsuit problem with the Grim Reaper. It's just a nice, it's so ridiculous. So whilst all this is going on, time is freaking out, and you know, different people from moments in history are being placed in other moments, because like the way I saw it is the time that was running in San Dimas in the film, they called it like the nexus point. So I see that as like a convergence point of all of time and space. So that's like the true time of what's going on, and that's always going on. There's like one true, this is the way I worked it out in my head, so it's probably like, I'm probably just talking rubbish, but it's like that time is the one true time and it's universal. But there are other times that can go a lot, that can be happening parallel to all of that, but there's one true. So everything that happens in like this point is kind of like the most important. Does that make any sense? Doesn't make any sense. Basically, there's like a little bit of Steins Gate shit going on. The film has an happy ending. They get their song, they save all the space and time, which sounds like a ridiculous plotline, but then the first Bill and Ted was two guys get a time-traveling phone booth, which, you know, they use in this film as well, to help them with a history project, because they're the chosen ones, the great ones who are gonna save humanity at a later point in the future. That was the plot to like the first one. And the second one, they go to heaven and hell. Oh, there was a bit where Kid Cudi says station, as in like station, you know, in the second one with the little, I can't remember what they look like, but you know, the little like stations, like the smartest people in the universe, the two little dudes. And when Kid Cudi did that station, and they turned around, they're like, oh, station. That to me, it didn't, it felt like that was improvised. It felt like to me that Kid Cudi's role was, he's a really big fan of Bill and Ted, so he had to get like a part in the film somehow, because he's kind of out of place in it, but it works in that way. It just makes me really jealous, because I love these films so much. Why can't I be in them? Yes, I'm an absolute nobody from England, but why can't I be in the Bill and Ted film? Why can't I travel back in time and be in the first Bill and Ted film? It's not fair. I deserve it more, purely because I want it more, not because I've worked harder, just I want it more. I just felt that the entire film was fun, it was lighthearted, it didn't take itself seriously, it was just nice. It was nice to revisit these characters, nice to have a final resolution. It was just a fun way to spend a few hours, and if 2020 needs anything, it's a fun way, like light-hearted way to just spend a few hours and chill out. But then, this is where we get characteristically of me, too deep, too blunt, too personal, too honest. A few hours after, later at night, I cried. But properly, I have this strange thing where I can't actually really cry. And remember that video I did on iDubbbz's Girlfriend, and my eyes were like tearing up because I was thinking of that game, Cloner, the PS1 game. I can't actually like cry. No tears leak out. My eyes just water. It's quite frustrating actually. But since going sober, my emotions just returned with a bang and like, you know, punched me in the face. So I've had a few moments where like I've managed to properly cry. And I just felt really sad because I thought about how when I was a really little kid, like 4 or 5 or whatever, watching these films, the hopes, the dreams I had for the future. And I don't really like seeing the visual passage of time because it freaks me out a little bit. And I was just overcome with this feeling of, what have I done for the past 2 decades? I have wasted so much of my life. I have consistently made bad choices and wrong decisions and derailed my life where possible. No, it's not been as bad as some people. I've never been homeless or anything like that. But I have not lived out the potential that I had as a kid, as a teenager or whatever. Consistently didn't bother with things like school. Guitar. I got up to a grade 6 in classical guitar as a teenager. Bet you didn't know that. And then I just gave it up and didn't play it for like haven't played it seriously or properly for what, a decade? Why did I give that up? I love music. I love music so much. It makes me feel so many things and it makes me so happy. I fucking love music. So why didn't I stick with that? Why did I never try out acting or join some sort of theatre when I was a teenager and try to do some acting? I'm a little bit theatrical, a little bit dramatic. It's something that I enjoy. Why didn't I do that? Stand-up comedy. Yeah, I've done it a few times in London, but I've not given it my all. I've not like really tried hard enough with it. Writing. If I just wrote consistently, not even daily, just consistently, I'd have written about 10 books by now of all the ideas I have. There's just so many blocks I've put on myself. So it was a really bittersweet moment of, it's been 2 decades since I was a child watching these films, and now here's the 3rd one, and everyone's older, and that always upsets me. Aging, my nemesis. Time, the idea of time. Noel Fielding said that once, I think, that he cried over the idea of time. That's basically what I was doing last night. Have I lived a life that's made me proud? No. What would Keanu Reeves do in this situation? That's what I'm going to go forward with. I'm not a very good person, I don't think. I think I'm pretty... at the moment, my viewpoint of myself is I'm a bloody terrible person. Try as I might to not be. But I'm going to try from now on harder to be a better person and to do more things and be more creative, because it's things that I enjoy. I actually did a bit of writing last night for the first time in quite a while. I got a guitar lesson that I'm going to have this week. I'm going to get my life back on track. And that is what Bill and Ted Face the Music did for me and gave me a level of introspection last night in which I decided I'm going to do better and try and live my life properly. And if you can get that from a film, must be a pretty good film. I recommend it. It gave me a bit of an existential crisis, but I've really found a tiny bit of a want to live a better and good life, a life that Keanu Reeves would be proud of. So what the fuck kind of review was this? Anyway, I guess that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, do remember to like, comment, subscribe. I make new videos whenever I feel like it. We're going back to that old standpoint. Follow me on Instagram. Keanu Reeves, collab with me on this channel. I don't ask for much in life, except for all of the entitled things that I do ask for, but if only Keanu would just come on this channel. Imagine Keanu Reeves sitting there watching YouTube. Imagine he subscribed to the Big Lazy Easy. I'm going to stop now. See you guys next time. Bye.